welcome to GT Time. I'm your moderator, Kyle Bossman, and joining us as always is our uniquely talented and knowledgeable panel, including Brandon Jones.
Hi.
Daniel Bloodworth.
Kululin Pa.
And sitting in the super seat, Elise Willems.
Hey, everybody.
In case you are a listener, you should know that Elise just gestured, I think that's like a winning, you clasp your hands
like
together
a
like
success,
victory.
Triumph motion.
She's already claimed triumph 1 minute into the show.
I can't wait to win this bet at the end of the show.
Wow.
Thank you.
Spoilers.
Everyone else on this couch is just like, ugh, the bets are stupid. This show's stupid.
I didn't
But
say
thank
anything
you
bad
for
about the
once
bets.
for being like into the bets. Thank
Bets
you,
are great.
Elise. Elise, as you are in the super seat, the weekly question for the super seat this round is to please tell us about the last time you had a great idea.
God, there are just so many.
Yeah.
It's like, where do I begin?
Well, begin with the most recent one.
So Ian and I,
Yeah.
we collaborate on Mandatory Update, and we, talk about ideas.
Who's Ian?
Ian Hink.
Okay, thank you.
Mandatory Update co-host.
Hi.
And we also, he's sitting behind the camera. We also we
Oh,
work
that's
on
who it is. Okay.
We work on stuff in real life together as well, and we talk about our ideas. And during one of our brainstorming sessions, the idea of New Oprah was conceived. Now this is the nouveau, the new Oprah. She's the new Oprah. She's not really different than the old Oprah because old Oprah is perfect. Maybe she just got a new cell phone or something. That kind of spitballed to Nopra, which Nopra is the negative Oprah. She like wants you to give her cars. She's like, I get a car from you and I get a car from you.
Is she like Dark Link?
Yeah, she's negative.
Like the red eyes.
Yeah. So there's that. There's always my long-running idea of dim sum and dem sum, my Chinese food restaurant. But
Save some of this. Come on.
yeah, don't steal this from me, guys. I
like-
need this.
Brad came in last week just
Copyright
like,
these.
last time my great idea was I quit my job and I moved on and like changed my career. Nopra is a way better idea than Brad's idea.
Let's go back
Thanks,
to his other job.
Well, at least Brad will have a job after this.
Yeah, at least at least we heard about Nopra. You're gone.
Yeah.
So let's get into our corrections. Begin corrections music. Brandon did not leave enough space between a spoiler alert and a spoiler.
Wait,
There's definitely you got to leak. Someone.
Oh, did I say spoiler alert and then I
then-
just jumped into it?
Yeah, you
People said
Oh, okay.
thank you for that, and people left time codes on the YouTube. I don't
People,
understand.
they need a little, like, you got to give them a moment to go and press, like, if you're in a car,
okay.
I got to open my phone and then click pause.
What was, not the spoiler, but what was the context of the spoiler? I don't remember last week.
You said the ending of The Evil Within.
Oh. Sorry.
You're not
I
sorry.
didn't see anyone actually make that complaint. But
I
that's
saw some
interesting.
complaints. Life is Strange wasn't part of the collective. The person who beat the order in 5 hours on YouTube apparently was not playing on easy. The order
I heard
1886.
conflicting reports on that. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
exactly. But the person himself, and then somebody like tweeted that like a screen cap of his comment to me, so it's like fine, whatever, you can have it. The Order 1886 did not release on Friday, February 19th. It was released on Friday, February 20th. Star Citizen will be available in stores. Xbox One preload was it was like a timed exclusive. The exclusive preload of Evolve on Xbox One was timed. Eventually you could preload it on PS4, just not as soon as you could have on Xbox One.
The second week of
God.
corrections for that,
Exactly, yep. And the corrections music is too quiet. End corrections music. Whew. It was a good run. That was some good corrections.
Life is Strange wasn't part of the Square Enix collective.
Apparently not.
I totally thought it was.
We thought.
Did you look that up, or you just take that guy's word for it?
I took that person's word for it. Uh-oh.
You should actually look up your corrections before you make them.
Some of them I do. When somebody just says, like, one sentence, like, just so positively like that, like, I just say, you're right. That was not part of the collective. Like, fine, you're right, man.
Okay. Ian, start making some corrections. We'll figure out what sneaks in here.
Okay, so let's talk about news. You know, I like to start with a game announcement. We don't have that this week. We have a game cancellation announcement. Something leaked. A game that was pretty far into development. It was called.
Wait, we had Dragon Quest Heroes announced for the U.S. this week.
That's Blood.
Port blood.
That's come on,
It's not
man.
port.
Well, I mean, it's like a.
It's an export.
It's an export.
Sorry.
Wait, you're gonna get excited? Just like, ooh boy, it's coming to the U.S. We knew it's coming to the U.S. Oh boy.
No, I
So
didn't.
every Muso game comes to the U.S. in some sort of way. Every single one. Not well, obviously not every single one. There's another correction. Anyway, let's talk about Legacy of Kain: Dead Son. This was a basically a third-person action platformer, open world, Legacy of Kain game canceled in 2012 by Square Enix. What is your impression from watching this game? How can we describe this game to someone who's just listening to this for the first time?
It's like Devil May Cry meets Darksiders is how it looks to me.
Nice description, actually.
I kind of had a sense that it was very Batman-esque, but in like a different environment. Like rather than a city, like you're out in more of a fantasy countryside, open world kind of thing.
The environment kind of reminded me of Mordor, the landscape.
It was definitely Mordor-esque
A
for
little
sure.
Mordor-ish.
Yeah.
Which is funny because Mordor wasn't in anyone's minds at that point because it hadn't been revealed at all.
I should have mentioned this. Almost a half hour this game is leaked. It was that as far along. It looked playable. It had on-screen prompts and everything, and so like a half hour was leaked on YouTube.
Voice acting, all that good stuff.
It was pretty close to like ready. I shouldn't tell the story.
Well, it's probably a year and a half away from ready.
But it looks like I'm telling it anyway. Here comes the story. We used to work with a guy like pretty influential. He would be around in the office. He was a pretty big guy in video games. He said,
talking about Rob Slusser?
they're making a new Legacy of Kain game. And I was like, oh man, if this guy knows about that, then it must be real. Then that never happened. And so I think that person saw this.
Oh.
Michael Pachter?
Keeley.
Yeah. But this game's been, when did they start developing it? Like 2008 or 9?
Yeah. So like they're probably like, hey, Keeley, check this out. He's like, oh, it's good. And then like it just never happened. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy to me how some games come this far along and then just
they
cancel.
scrap it.
Yeah. Square Enix said it probably wouldn't meet sales projections. Do you think it was a good call? Is my question.
Legacy of Kain, like my history of Legacy of Kain is I would always go like every year when I would have the annual, these are the retrospectives I want to do this year meeting with Shane Satterfield. Legacy of Kain was always on there. I'm like, it'll be one episode, we'll cover all the games, it'll just be one 20-minute episode, we'll do the whole thing. And it was just like, eh. And it was always that kind of feeling about Legacy of Kain where it's like, it's got a niche audience. There are people that would really, really love that, but that group of people isn't big enough to really support the game.
So you think it was a good call this late in development? Cut it.
That late in development, I don't know. I think maybe that was a good call. It was a bad call to maybe do the game.
In the first place.
Yeah.
You're saying no one should ever make a Legacy of Kain game again.
I don't think, unless you're maybe going to reboot it or something.
Like
yeah,
Nosgoth.
but it's just like,
Yeah.
I felt kind of like a reboot, but that's I think the Nosgoth point is the funny one because it's like, okay, you take something that feels like it could sort of be related to Legacy of Kain, and then you cancel that, and then you do something that's like, how in the world? Why would you do this? Like, why would you make a multiplayer only thing in that universe?
And that's the weird thing is how long, when did Nosgoth go into development? Does anyone have an idea of
When
that?
it started, no.
Were they concurrently in development at any time, or was Nosgoth a reaction to Legacy of Kain being canceled?
My
Sounds like
feeling
it.
is that it was a reaction.
Reaction?
Yeah.
Because to me, it's like Nosgoth is this PvP, like people love classes, they love being able to be in these like multiplayer worlds.
They love not having to pay for video games.
Not having to pay for video games.
Yep.
And that is like a sign of, it's like Square Enix, right?
Yeah.
Square Enix, like, trying to like appeal to the current gaming landscape, which is people love those kind of games. Me personally, I would prefer the single player Legacy of Kain. Like, that's my preferred game.
But
And actually,
you said Darksiders, to talk
Yeah.
about the style of it, and it's like there's a classic example of a game that like was this great, open world-ish action game that just didn't sell enough.
but with Darksider, would
Yeah,
someone
but it
even
was
consider-
THQ.
That's
not
true.
fair.
They
No,
made it-
no. What is that
Yes,
supposed
it
to
is
mean?
fair. They just wasted money
They made
on
a lot of bad
everything.
decisions. But would someone even consider pushing Darksiders into development now? Like in this current landscape, would that have a demand for it? I don't really know if anyone would risk that.
Yeah, that is what's really interesting about Elise's point is that like some of the things in this game appeared in Nosgoth. Like some assets and things, and like even some animations of some of the characters are in Nosgoth. You know what I mean? So it does look like it's just like, this is wrong. We can't make single player games profitable anymore. Like let's just make this. Let's make this other thing. However, I feel like there are some single player games that have sold very well recently. Skyrim is crazy.
Yeah.
To me, it's insane that no one has reacted to Skyrim like, oh, we should make more games like Skyrim. We see how well that sold, and like no one did. Like we have Call of Duty clones, but we don't have Skyrim clones.
But Skyrim's the kind of thing where, Skyrim's like the weather. Skyrim's just going to happen. Like Elder Scrolls 6 is going to happen. It's coming. It's going to be a long time, but it's going to happen. Like another Bond movie, like it's coming. Whereas like Legacy of Kain is like, it's not that deeply ingrained into the popular conscious of video games where it's just like, oh, there's guaranteed to get another installment of that.
Sure, I see
you
that.
can't
Even
just
like,
make another entry. There's got to be something really, really exciting about
even
the game.
Mordor kind of has an established franchise behind it to like get that going.
Yeah.
Because I think Mordor did all right.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to look at Tomb Raider was getting the reboot at the same time, and I think it probably had less to do with Legacy of Kain on its own and more of like, okay, we're gonna back one of these horses, which one we're gonna back? Because both of them were gonna be very intensive, high production, and then a lot of marketing behind them.
Also, it's easy to forget, Tomb Raider has a multiplayer mode.
That's what I was thinking. Is couldn't
Yeah.
they have developed Legacy of Kain and then still done like some kind of multiplayer mode?
Oh, this was actually, sorry, I should have mentioned this. Nosgoth was actually like basically the multiplayer mode of this game.
Oh, really?
Isn't that insane? Like the genesis of it was
Oh.
that,
Huh.
and then it became its own stupid own game.
But
I mean, they could have, but like they didn't have faith. They didn't have like Brandon Jones. They didn't have faith in. Can I be honest? Looking at this game, I'm like, there's some really. The jump is really cool. He leaps forward like a leopard. Cool animations. It's like any game where there's a dark world, and I'm including A Link to the Past. I'm like so disinterested in just like flip between worlds. Look at what this world looks like in another plane. You can do this in there.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think there's a couple of things. Go for it.
Yeah, defend A Link to the Past. Let's hear this
I'm not
unpopular
gonna do that.
opinion.
Come on. What did Brandon want to say?
No, I was cracking up.
Do you like that? Do you like that in Link to the Past? As a serious question.
I don't think it's inherently stupid.
I think it's inherently stupid.
It's just dumb no matter what. Metroid Prime 2, garbage.
It is. Well,
My
yeah.
blood boiling, Bosman.
Yeah,
You got my blood boiling.
Okay.
The dichotomy of a light and dark world in itself represents the essence of light and dark within the human spirit and human nature, and you don't appreciate that.
I don't appreciate a spectrum of like there are good people and there are bad people. There's no such thing as either. You know what I mean?
Oh! No, I love.
Did you?
love it.
But did you like it in this game in particular? Actually, where you like go and you go into like Phantom Universe and you see different things and like the blocks move differently in this world and some things are there that aren't there.
I sort of think that games that do this, they're just trying to give you different platforms to solving puzzles, and to have two worlds that you can switch between does that. Like Skyward Sword does that more effectively, I guess, with the time travel element. But I think it is just a part of the puzzle component and to try to get you to work within those two planes.
Right.
So I do like it, and I do like when games do that.
It also like empowers you as a character if you like meet people in like the light world that have no idea that this other world exists, that these
yeah.
things are walking around them at all times. But like you as the player, you're like, I can pass through those things and I know that. And like makes you feel cool. You know,
Yeah.
You're like, I'm powerful enough that I can actually survive that jump between those two things.
And I'm in
I-
on the secret. Like
Oh, right.
everyone likes knowing a
Yeah.
secret.
Yeah.
But what's interesting though is that parallel to Mordor. They're like the two souls in the one body thing, and can you can sort of see things that other people can't see in Mordor as well.
Oh yeah,
right?
you do. Whenever you go full Celebrimbor, you go into like the spirit world and you can like, let's say you track Gollum in some instances, you like track his footprints around areas, and like everything goes dark. It's just like putting the ring on, you know. You like go into that ring world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is just like that.
Yeah.
But
That Tolkien, what a hack.
But I think that this, I didn't watch the whole half hour, because you didn't send it out early enough. But
Blood. Everyone saw this. Everyone saw this clip. I'm the only person you get news from? Is that what this means? One email
you gotta
a
tell
week?
us what we're gonna have on the thing.
Oh, babe.
Anyways, but the thing I think is weird about it is this whole idea of like him being there talking to himself and people seeing him talk to himself and like reacting to that, like that like sends off like a weird just like a weird vibe to it, right? It's like, oh, there's this vampire who's not really a bad guy, who's in a vampire's body, who's talking to himself, and then like, as I said before the show, like you've got this weird character design where like the female soldiers just have the one boob hanging out, and like why? It's like, is there a reason for that? Or did you think that was a good idea? Who thought that was a good idea?
Yeah, I'm sure like they would even defend it like we're not trying to be sexy, we're just trying to be M for mature. I think that's probably what's strange about this is that like I feel like this game wouldn't have reviewed well, but it always sucks to see any game that people could have played and had fun with just get axed.
I like the idea of it wasn't rating M for mature, so they were like, we got to get that M for mature audience.
Yeah.
Bring the boob out. Some executive
It's a
said,
vampire game.
bring
It's
the boob
gonna
out.
be M somehow or another.
Bring the boob out.
Bring the boob out.
And the poor artist is just like removing that
Yeah.
polygon, just like, oh god, just crying a little bit. I hope this game doesn't come out someday. Let's talk about a big news story that just dropped yesterday, basically. No, it's today. You know what? We put this up on Thursdays now. This just dropped today.
Whoa.
Microsoft is lowering the cost of Xbox Live Gold to $40.
But is it a
Was
sale?
$60.
Is it a sale?
This is permanent, baby. That's
Did
permanent.
they actually say it was permanent? Because the link I read didn't seem to know.
I'm gonna trust. I'm gonna trust in that it's 40 forever.
I'm going to trust that you're going to repeat this in corrections next
It's
week.
not happening. 40 forever. You heard it here first. Welcome to GameTrailers.com,
forever.
your source for news. So that is pretty crazy. It was $60. PSN Plus is $50, a very comparable service. This is a direct reaction to that, correct?
I think so. But I'm trying to remember. Wasn't there a point Xbox was 50 and then it went up to 60?
Yes.
And now it's gone down
Down.
to 40.
Yeah. This is what like when everyone's saying like competition's good, like we're seeing it right now. That's it.
Yeah.
Because you're right, it was going up previously, but now that PSN Plus competes with it, PlayStation Plus competes with it, they have to deal with this, and they're just like, oh, those guys are cheaper than we are. We'll show them.
Yeah. And they're getting probably a bunch of ad money off of all their apps and stuff too.
Sorry? Explain that.
Like all their apps and stuff that
Or that cycle in
Yeah.
people.
I'm sure there's people, they got all the ads on the dashboard and they got all that other stuff going on.
No, I need you to be much more specific.
Like as they draw people to it, right, with the service, those people are looking at their ads.
Whether
Yeah.
when you log into Xbox Live, those ads are there whether you're on Gold or not.
Right.
So what do you mean? What are you talking? What does this have to do with going down to $40?
Well, maybe somebody that isn't picking up their Xbox controller as much anymore because they have like PS Plus.
Yeah,
they're coming back to Xbox.
Yeah, so that's a question I had. Is like, do you think reducing it to 40 makes anyone like would have said no to 60? Does you think those people would say yes to 40?
I think it depends on the quality of games that are going on Games with Gold,
Okay.
and still whether those people are playing with friends on Xbox.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I feel like it's that. Do you know what I mean? I feel like the PSN Plus, the PlayStation Plus 50, and the Xbox Live 60, now 40. I think both of those things are basically like gas. Do you know what I mean? I feel like those are things you like begrudgingly pay for. No one's excited to be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get a bunch of free games. Here you go. I think we're all just like, God, I gotta do this to play online games. And so I kind of feel like it's probably not gonna sway a lot of people. I think it's gonna make those people who do pay for it feel better.
Yeah.
Like when gas prices go down, everybody feels good.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's what's going on with Xbox right now. They're like, hey, everybody, feel good. You get 20 extra bucks. Go spend it on games. And so that's what I think is pretty cool about this. Brandon, you seem to be agreeing with that.
Yeah, I can't speak from the perspective of somebody who's like never done an online service because you couldn't afford it. But it's like if you, I think it's to increase consumer happiness around the Xbox brand basically. And it's interesting that they're being so competitive that it's actually cheaper than PS Plus now.
Another really funny thing going on with Games with Gold right now is in April, they were proud to announce, they had a little press release, double the free games with Gold. And this is to commemorate the huge milestone of collectively downloading over 100 million Games with Gold games. What's hilarious about that is that, okay, they're doing double free games in April. Clearly, it's not because they passed some arbitrary number in Games with Gold. Nobody was like, oh, look at this big number we surpassed. We should do something special for April. Right. They're going hard. They're going hard on PlayStation Plus right now. And I think that is pretty crazy.
I remember a while ago, there was like I guess at the end of the year, there was a statistic to show how many more games like one company gave out versus the other. And I think Sony won. I don't remember. I'm sure the comments will.
So like in a typical month of PlayStation Plus, it's 2 PS4 games, 2 PS3 games, and 2 Vita games. And a typical Games with Gold is like 1 Xbox 360 and 1 Xbox One game.
Yeah, they're trying to match.
Yeah. This month, however, March upcoming, Xbox One, it'll be one game and two 360 games. And they're legit games. Hold on, let me find those because I printed that out. Like, they're going hard on March. In March, you can get Rayman Legends for the Xbox One and Tomb Raider and Bioshock Infinite for your 360.
Those are.
Though I think Bioshock Infinite was actually already a free PS3 game.
I think it was.
But still, those two games in 1 month, like that, they're going hard. And I think that's pretty cool. Do you think Sony will react? Do you think PlayStation Plus is going to get better?
By lowering the price even more? Or by...
Right, like you're right. By lowering price or adding more games. Basically, Microsoft is not making as much money as they'd had in the past now. They're willing to take a hit, which is crazy.
I don't think Sony needs to take a hit right now. I don't know. I don't know if I would make like a knee-jerk reaction to something that Microsoft is doing. As opposed to like being confident in the decisions that you're making because of what Microsoft is doing, and realize like, oh, we must be doing things right. We must have like a really good setup if they're clearly like trying to match our price, trying to match our the number of games we're giving away.
Even worse, they're trying to beat it. They're trying to beat those things.
Yeah, I don't see them beating it. I just think that's something. I think from my I'm not one who rapidly follows. We actually, one of the Warp Zone guys was complaining because he didn't get his free Sony games the other day. Wasn't he like, they didn't tell me I thought they were always going to be there. I didn't know I had to go in and download them. And I probably should be more on top of that. To take advantage of games.
So are you on PlayStation Plus?
Yeah, I'm on both, on Gold and PS Plus.
And you don't even get your free games?
Because I probably play the games, or I can just go into the library and get the game from work. So it's just not something that's really on my radar. But even if that's something that I haven't been directly involved with, I do know that just across the board, Sony's just had a much better track record of providing free content, providing free games to their community via their pay service.
Yeah.
And so I think it might not be really getting down to numbers. I just think that's something that Microsoft wants to be known for. That they want their when Sony fanboys and Xbox fanboys get together and argue, that was one thing that for a while Xbox fanboys couldn't say. They couldn't be like, well, I get free games from Gold. They didn't for a long time.
Yeah.
And so now, not only that, so one step was that now that they do, and then the other step is that it's competitive. That I don't just get free games. I get lots of free games.
And Sony may decide that the PlayStation Plus, Xbox Gold is not the forum that they're going to compete in. Sony may say that as okay, well, we see what Xbox is doing, but we're going to reward our fans by giving them more discounts in PlayStation Now. That's what we're going to turn to, because we've already got the.
Would you take a?
No, I'm not going to use PlayStation Now ever at all.
Okay, that was my question. Yeah.
But I don't. I'm just saying what maybe Sony thinks.
I know you're saying to promote other services.
They may turn to other services instead to try to reward their fans, and because there's, like Brendan said, they're doing a good job with what they've been doing with PlayStation Plus. There are no issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, they might find other ways of doing discounts, because what I think was it people that pre-ordered the Order 1886 ended up getting the soundtrack or something like that.
Yeah, digitally, you have to listen to it on your PS4. But
yeah, which I hope they've improved that, because when they did it with Killzone, it was just the dumbest thing ever.
What was it?
It was an app. It was an app separate from the game.
Okay.
In which you could only play the songs in the app, so you couldn't copy them to your phone and listen to them.
No, they don't want you to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, someone was just okay, this is dumb.
Did any of you guys get the Evolve tie-in app? Did anyone use that?
Oh, to level up my characters on the go?
No. No, but what I'm saying is this wasn't a phone app. This was a PS4 app.
Yeah. No, I'm just curious while we were on the subject of apps.
I should admit though, I did download the Little Big Planet stupid Endless Runner game. And that game is sucky. But I played it so far. It's the drops are random too. This is what's so stupid. There's a gnome costume you can unlock for toggle. And so I played that game probably for 3 or 4 hours trying to get all the drops to put together a toggle costume. Oh boy. So I'm not saying I'm above it. I'm definitely not above downloading an app to unlock some stupid things, to play stupid games on those.
It's a segue.
Sure, let's do. Oh, you're right. Blood. He's writing my segues for me. We're introducing a new segment. This segment is called We All Played a Game. This week, we all played Pokemon Shuffle for the Nintendo 3DS. This is free to play. It's not Nintendo's first free to play game. They did Sub Wars, Steel Diver Sub Wars. They did Rusty's Real Deal Baseball. Both both pretty good free to play games. This. I'll let you describe it, panel. What is this game?
It's Marvel Puzzle Quest for babies.
Nice. Bloodworth, what is this game?
Well, the thing is most of the games this is based on I haven't played, so but I had a friend that said she thought it was gonna be puzzle, like a crappy version of Puzzle and Dragons, but instead it's a crappy version of Candy Crush.
Okay. Brandon, what's your one sentence pitch on this game?
Bejeweled-amon.
Bejeweled-amon. All right.
That's a good one.
That's a really great one. Yeah, it's that. It's very free to play-ish. It's
Ish?
Someone's
Ask.
hacked it.
What?
I was reading this morning, it got hacked, so now you don't have like the 30-minute time
Oh,
constraint.
sweet.
So I can play as much as I want?
Yeah,
How do
get
I
in
hack
there.
this? How do I hack that game?
I'm not sure. Somebody like they actually went into the code. And
Oh, okay.
Something on the SD
But,
card.
But so that's worth mentioning. It has a 30-minute time limit. It's basically
Well, not a time limit. Yeah, so basically the way it works is you have hearts, and like a heart is basically a quarter.
Yes.
Right? So but it costs $1 if you actually bought it. But,
Okay.
or is it what, you buy $1, you spend $1 for 5 hearts or something like that. Anyways.
So they're basically quarters. They're
Yeah,
we'll call
so
them quarters.
anyways, so you use a heart, and then you get to play a level, which you could beat in 90 seconds. And then for the next level, you have to use another heart. And if you
Whether
don't...
you live or die, you got to use a quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you do the match 3 thing to like take down the other Pokemon's health, and then afterwards, you can trap the Pokemon, but it's like a percentage based on how many moves you had left, and it varies on Pokemon. So stupid Riolu or whatever is like 3%, and then you stack on whatever, and like if you're really good, you can get it up to 30% chance of actually catching him. So you have to keep playing the same level over and over again if you want to catch him.
But here's the thing. If you're willing to give us a little money, we'll give you a Great Ball. And
then-
you'll be much more
yeah.
likely to catch that Riolu. It's part of the game.
Well,
Like,
that's
much more likely instead of guaranteed. I thought that was a guarantee.
It's not always a guarantee.
It depends on
it'll-
it depends on where the meter was before you got the Great
no.
Ball.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's ugly.
It's rotten. Yeah,
But-
you can
but-
spend money on catching a Riolu and
But
still
at
not
that
catch
point,
a Riolu.
but you already have to have the coins. So here's the thing:
Yeah.
what you spend money on are jewels, and then the jewels can buy either hearts, which are your turns,
yeah.
or they can buy coins, which you use to buy items like the Great Ball.
Yeah.
And then what's nuts though is that they have tiers with like discounts on the jewels, where like you can spend like the highest tier, you can spend $47 on jewels.
Did
in
anyone
one
here
shot.
spend money on the game?
No.
Was anyone tempted?
No.
Okay. I was very curious about that.
But the half hour thing that she was talking about, basically, every half hour you'll get another heart.
They'll
But-
give you $1.
But they'll no, I think
$1.25 basically, yeah.
no, I think it's one heart would be only like 20 cents.
Oh, I see. Got you.
But anyways, but you can only get 5 hearts at maximum from the timer. You have to buy with jewels if you want to have more than 5 hearts. And you earn jewels sometimes through like playing the game, like getting past the
Beating a
section of
boss, if
stages.
you beat a mega, you'll get a
Yeah.
jewel.
Well, they got to trickle that out for sure.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
actually
at least have
did
something.
save up 3 jewels and was able to buy like 18 hearts. But yeah, didn't actually spend any real money.
The thing that's devious is you have something like Candy Crush.
Yeah.
Candy Crush, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I get Sugar Rush and Candy Crush mixed up. Sugar Rush. is
Sugar
from-
Rush.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
But the thing about Candy Crush is it's like, you know, you're only going to spend money if you're like at the dentist office and you're just like, I'm going to sit here for 20 minutes and this is my games and I already played this morning and so I'm like I'm out of tries to play this, so like I'll just play it just to entertain myself. I'm paying money just for pure entertainment, like just to play this game.
Yeah.
Whereas in Pokemon, it's Pokemon related. So like you literally unlock like that next character
Yeah.
from the game, and it's like, oh god, that's my favorite Pokemon. I gotta get that one guy.
Yeah.
And so it's like I think just much more devious because it's like
And the suckier ones are easier to catch. The ones that are stupid, yeah,
Right.
you're way easy to catch. If you're cool, you're hard to catch.
because like level 75 in Candy Crush has for a Candy Crush fan, I
Yeah.
don't think is anywhere near like
Well, they-
Mewtwo level of fandom for a Pokemon.
Did
fan.
you
Right.
see what they introduced during this course of this week?
I missed it unfortunately.
There are now daily Pokemon. You have to play that day to get them.
It's
Brutal.
it's a lot like Marvel Puzzle Quest for babies. I'll say
Yeah.
it again.
Marvel Card Puzzle Quest for babies.
I appreciate like that. I like that like when you encounter a new Pokemon, you want to strategize like what what elements you need to attack that Pokemon. You know, if it's a grass Pokemon, you want to use like fire or whatever.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, and I like that, you're evolving your Pokemon. It's like Marvel Puzzle Quest. You're, getting items and
meters are filling up.
Yeah, you're leveling up your characters. However, the thing that really bothers me about this game that's different than a Bejeweled game is, in a typical Bejeweled game, you can only shift a jewel that is like perpendicular or adjacent to the space you want to move it to, but you can just pull like shit anywhere you want from in this. I hate that.
Almost no skill involved in this game.
There's no skill.
Oh, the times that you do the best is like you get these giant chains of things that you had no idea were going to happen.
You couldn't have.
Like I can, it's easy to set up like a 2 or a 3 chain. You just like move that thing and make sure that both sides match or whatever. But beyond that, like this stuff just falls out of the sky and is like, oh, I'm winning, But that's what's weird is because, like I said, like some of these stages, like if you're lucky enough, like they last 60 to 90 seconds, and it's like that's it. Like you get through, 5 stages in 10 minutes, and then you have to wait half an hour to play one stage again.
And you're never catching Pokemon. You're catching Pokemon heads. There's like,
yeah.
I got a little Squirtle head. It's like, that doesn't even feel like catching a Squirtle. Let's all give it a review. Elise, what do you give review this game?
It's on 10-point scale?
Yep. Don't pump the brakes.
5.
Blood?
4.
Brendan Jones?
5.5.
0.8. Okay, and
I just want to say one more thing about the game that cracks me up.
Okay.
So we're all familiar with free-to-play games, and granted, this is for babies.
I'm actually not. I'm kind of. This is like my first real exposure to this like toxic environment.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But I mean, like, we all kind of get the structure, like, just Crystal specifically, just that whole concept of like, oh, I'm going to go through a tutorial, and they're going to give me one of these, and then they're going to literally force me to use it right away, and be like, you should probably use that to get this thing.
Oh,
and then, look, you're playing again.
It's like they really do just like usher you through the game and like force you to do. It's so
what cracks me up is that like we've been so used to free to play games. We've had this paradigm for so long now.
Yeah.
And I love like the trainer at the beginning. It's just like, hey, let's go catch some Pokemon, and then she's like, oh, here's a crystal. And, like just her whole attitude about like being really happy about like setting up this system.
You're gonna see me a lot.
Just that attitude. And I've actually played free to play games before that I really appreciate, that have a really kind of sarcastic vibe about, like, I remember playing one and they're like, you get one of these, first one's free. They're like, we get it.
Like Dungeon Keeper was bad.
We know we're screwing you.
Yeah.
But that's our business model. That's what we're doing. So if you understand it, we understand it, then let's do business. If you enjoy the game, and if you don't, whatever. But I just love the candy coating and just the vibe of just like, hey, we're friends. I'm a 2D art that's not moving.
Yeah. So
here's a crystal.
The biggest problem I have with this, really, is like I understand that one way or another you've got to make money off of this game. You're putting a game out there, people are gonna have to pay for it. I get like the quarter thing. To me it's weird because like if you put in a quarter in an arcade game, you keep playing until you die. You don't just like suddenly. I mean, there's unfair crap. Like I remember the old cruising games, like, oh, you didn't get first place, your game's over. Like what?
That's fair. That's fair.
But anyways, but what's nuts to me is that there's actually a $47 tier. You should never pay $47 for this game. Like at best, you should pay $20 and play this game forever.
Yeah, there's a game called Pokemon Trotside. It's a better puzzle game. You can just go and play that. You can buy that and play it forever. Like, I'm so furious about that game. I can't believe you could give it anything higher than a 3. Let's talk about a funny little news bit that appeared. So, on Platinum's Twitter account, you remember? Okay, let's catch everybody up. A few weeks ago at the Taipei Game Show, Sony had that big montage of video games that were coming up, and there was that 2 that appeared that looked like the Revengeance 2. Right in the middle, like when they were doing like the order, like 3, 2, and then you see a Revengeance 2 suddenly. So, of course, it's like, oh, that's the Revengeance 2. Like clearly that sequel's happening, and everyone's like, no, sorry, no, we don't know what that was. So this week on Platinum's Twitter account, they tweeted out a celebration of the 2-year anniversary of Metal Gear Solid Revengeance, Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, and used that exact same 2 in the background of some cool art with Raiden, and just like, oh, so that's what that was. Don't worry about it.
But it wasn't the exact same. It was like somebody had painted that 2.
Yes, but it has like very similar angles. It's a definitely direct reference to that 2.
Yeah.
But not the exact same 2. Like, is this fooling anyone?
It's all part of just like the fun machine. I don't know. We have a show now called Huber Hype.
Uh-huh.
Like, people eat this kind of stuff up.
I eat it. Like, if I'm at Platinum and I'm like, let's just do this. You know what I mean? Like that's just so
They're
funny.
just messing with their buddies.
They're messing with their buddies. I kind of love this kind of thing. Maybe sometimes we do take secrecy too seriously, and so that is kind of a fun thing.
Well, we talk about trailers a lot, and you think about like how much money goes into like how much money something like Assassin's Creed or like Mordor like spends on their advertising, is constantly pumping out trailers.
Yeah.
And like, what did that cost them? Like,
That-
how hard was that?
Yeah.
And like, they're getting way more headlines than full CG awesome trailers that are coming out in game debuts.
You're right. We're not talking
Yeah,
about
literally.
Assassin's Creed this week. We're talking about Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance 2, which doesn't even have been
doesn't
announced
exist,
yet.
technically.
Yeah, Metal Gear Rising
Yeah.
2.
Well, I think in a way it's kind of like Kojima kind of made his own bed with this.
How do you mean?
Cause like the stuff that he's been doing, like with PT and all of it, it's like it could have been a just completely honest mistake, but nobody believes that because it's Kojima tied to it. You know.
They read into everything he does.
That's my dream. I want that
Yeah.
so bad in my life.
It could also be a test. Just like, let's see what people say about this.
Yeah.
We don't have to make an official announcement, so we don't have to backpedal. We can say up front exactly what it is, and then if like just mountains of hate come and just that reminds me how much I hated Revengeance. I'm like, okay, let's shelve that one.
Yeah.
Put that right next to Legacy of Kain.
No, they're following tweets. They're just like, how's the tweets doing? How's the social media? Good? Okay, well, greenlight the sequel. That's
Right.
that's the biz, isn't it?
But it's good. That's cool that you
Smart.
can do that.
You think so?
You read comments on GT Time. Isn't that cool that people can tell you what they thought? And like corrections.
Yes.
You dumb Kyle Bossman, you said that this game came out and it didn't. And like, that's cool that you can have that reaction with them. And it's cool that they can test. Kind of like, what do you guys think?
Do you know
And if
why I'm
they-
bitter? Do you
and
know? I'll tell you why I'm bitter about this franchise.
Okay.
Mega Man Legends 3 was announced. There was a demo about to come out. Capcom canceled this game because there wasn't enough social interaction with it. They're like, oh, not enough people are joining our dumb little developer room, so clearly no one's interested in this game. That is why I'm bitter about it.
Well, but that's the strategy. If you come out and if they were to make a post and actually
Yeah.
say, "Hey, we're thinking about making Revengeance 2. What do you guys think?" Like
Yeah.
that's not the conversation that they want to have.
Yeah.
But if they're really like, "Hey, it's been 2 years too," it's like then that starts. Then I think that generates more buzz.
Yeah.
Because it's not just like, "Oh, we know they want to do this. Let's talk about it." Then it's like, well, the conversation's already over because we know what they're doing. But if you don't know, like, then that's a whole conversation on top of it, where it's just like all that speculation and all that, like
it's
if you tease people.
It's a more interesting thing than doing like research groups and that kind of thing.
Oh, and like more real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Harmonix, didn't they just do their like rock band survey? Where
Yes.
they were like, would you guys like another rock band? It's like,
And
well,
everyone's
obviously.
like, oh my god, yes. I
Yeah.
feel like everyone's like, oh my god, yes. They're not going to buy that game.
No,
Right.
no, and obviously they
Yeah.
want to make another rock band or they wouldn't have asked.
Yeah.
But then they put out some more songs or something too recently
Yeah,
too, right?
they
Yeah,
Yeah,
bunch
they
of
did.
DLC.
But like, it's like everyone who just had like "I'm with Coco" posters. When Conan O'Brien left the Tonight Show, and everyone's like, "Oh, I love Conan O'Brien. He's the best." Like they don't watch this show. They don't watch the Conan O'Brien show on TBS, and so I feel like it's like that a little bit. You know what I mean? Like sometimes people on the internet can't represent purchases, and so I don't like it. Mega Man Legends 3 should have been made.
Because when you finally make the announcement, if they ask people if they want Rock Band, and then they
Yeah.
finally make the announcement of Rock Band, they
Yeah.
kind of already made it. They
Yeah.
kind of already made that announcement, so that announcement's not going to be big.
Yeah.
But when that first trailer hits, when they actually at E3, lights go down and like Revengeance 2, like, like then the excitement will be even more than when they first teased that thing. You're like
I can do
building
that.
on it
Yeah.
instead of like putting all your eggs in one basket. And then
I
just-
think that works for Rising 2. I think that will not work for Rock Band. What is that trailer going to possibly be that gets people like, oh, it's back?
You're right.
Telling you, they're defrosting Steven Tyler from Cryosleep, and they're just gonna throw him up there and let him do his thing. Ian, do your Steven Tyler.
I love this idea. That's right.
Great.
I hope we picked that up.
Yeah.
Uh,
For anyone who didn't hear it, it was really
Yeah.
good.
Ian he's got a great Steven Tyler. Let's roll right into, well, you're the one who started this conversation. This, of course, is the segment in which we pull comments, we socially interact with you, and that's cool.
And people
Yeah.
have been missing that for a couple weeks.
Yeah, well, we've been long talkers. I've been trying to really trim us up.
Maybe
trying to
we're
keep
going to
us
do
on.
this segment. Maybe we aren't.
Oh.
We'll see. We'll see what kind of social interaction.
I like when we'll see if we want to interact. The problem is I like it when Brandon Jones goes off. I really like it. I never want to cut that short. That's really tricky to like be like, you know what, we should really cut this short. But I'm trying this week. This comes from This is I'm gonna say Tougher Getta. You guys probably don't want to hear this, but E3 isn't very far away. I've been streaming it all through GT for years now. What are the plans for this year's E3 coverage now that GT is less spiky?
We're going to defrost Steven Tyler from cryo sleep. Just put him out there, let him do his thing. Ian, Steven Tyler impression.
I love this idea.
Oh, this comes
Great.
from Trent, actually. Trent is that person's name.
Oh, okay.
What are we going to do to make it less spiky?
I don't think that was necessarily a question. He was just wanting to know what we're gonna do.
Yeah, spiky's a good thing in this regard.
Is it?
Yes. Our E3 coverage is the best thing we've ever done. We want a Webby for E3 coverage. We got a Webby.
We got a Webby?
We want a Webby.
When did we get a Webby?
It's in my office. You ever seen our Webby?
I've never seen you Webby. Wait, is it the coil?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I've seen that. It's a cool trophy.
A Webby, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the coolest thing I've ever been a part of in 13 years I've been around GT.
No
Is
way.
that-
You've been
yes.
part of cooler stuff.
No.
Did you go
I've
to the
seen you be a
Webbies?
part of cooler stuff.
Name it.
I don't know.
What are you talking about? Having Jack Trenton throw the mic, like
Oh,
having
that
all these
stuff.
crazy famous
I thought you
people
meant the
coming in.
Webby, getting a Webby award. And
No,
being like,
no,
oh,
no,
I
no.
got,
But,
no,
like,
this
just
is the
being-
coolest thing of my life.
That's what I thought.
Being
Okay.
involved downtown LA Live,
Yes.
like with Keeley hosting
Yeah.
and Kaiser and all that. It was,
Yeah.
Peter Molyneux was on stage.
Yeah.
That was really exciting. We're doing some stuff. There's some stuff that we're going to do for E3 we can't talk about because we're going to more information about that actually in the next couple weeks.
Can you talk to me about that?
Yeah.
I don't know of anything
Yeah, I mean,
that's
it's
secret.
more,
I don't know of
again,
any
it goes
secrets
back-
yet.
You know about secrets.
I don't know one secret right now.
It's over there. There's a thing over there. If you go through a door and then
That's
through another
not it.
door
No,
and then
no, no.
no,
Get down your
screw that.
Pokemon
That's not
games.
exciting.
I've been tweeting about that for
Open your
weeks.
eyes
I've been
for a
that's not a
second.
secret. Go ahead.
So yeah, I mean, spoiler alert.
Wait. Think of a person. All right. Now here's what you do. You visualize someone in their car.
Okay.
Think. Oh. And then reaching down, getting the iPod, opening it up,
Turn it down
pressing
the
pause. Good.
Okay. We're not going to be at LA Live doing the same kind of coverage that we did for E3. We are going to be doing all-day coverage. We are going to do live coverage.
Yeah.
The big question is if we're actually going to be at the show, because that's just super pricey. We're
What
not.
do you mean by that? On the floor, you
We're
mean?
actually going to be on the floor because whenever we did LA Live coverage, we weren't like at E3, but we were close and we were like across the street.
Yeah.
And even across the street is pushing it. And, like even like then like I got this meeting and then I got to like wait for the light to change. I got to wait for the walk sign and then go across and then get in an elevator and then go up and which is why IGN and GameSpot are there. Like they have their HQ
And Twitch, yeah.
and Twitch. So
GameSpot.
I wonder how much
You
an
said
E3
GameSpot.
booth is. I have no idea.
Yeah, how
They're
much?
pricey.
Can we talk about that?
yeah,
Can we, how
tens
much
of
is it?
thousands of dollars.
Oh.
Pardon us.
Excuse us. I was just here for water. Thank you.
But then again, when we did, we went to PSX. We did awesome coverage,
Yeah.
and we basically just set up 4 stools and roped it off, and it was just fun having the environment of E3 back there.
Absolutely.
And if you actually rewind back to 4 or 5 years ago, we did Dan Kaiser interviewed like 40 people a day on a little like it kind of looked like a wrestling ring. We just set up like a little corner in South Hall, and so we're looking into that right now.
Cool.
Not really sure. It's interesting because there's definitely one difference moving from Viacom to Defy Media is now when we were at Viacom, we were like, it's funny that they sent that, like, I don't know if you guys know, but E3 is a yeah, we know. I mean, there's no question. Like,
Sure.
The GT, GameTrailers.com went live the day of E3 in May of 2002. So, like,
Oh.
E3 is in our blood. Like, E3 is big time. I'm born and raised Southern California, so, like,
E3 's
I
in my
love
blood.
this
Absolutely,
convention.
yeah.
So, we're all over it, and we definitely like at the beginning of every new year, it's like E3, here we go. So it's just a question of now that we're here, we're kind of like waking up, the other brands and kind of talking to other heads of other channels at Defy, and just being like, hey, E3, and they're like, oh, we don't really talk about E3 this early. It's like, well, we should. So let's have meetings.
Cool.
So lots of live coverage is what I can guarantee. And we won't be at LA Live. Those two things will definitely.
Yeah, but I mean, it should make it clear, like we're talking about our live show, in that sense, because we will still have people running around the show floor and
Yeah, that's a
checking out
given, yeah.
games
Yeah.
and all of that stuff.
But that's not what this person's talking about. This person's about streaming.
Right.
Yeah. Trent.
And,
Trent
and
loves
yeah,
the
well, I
streaming.
think one thing
Yeah.
is, without the Viacom deals, we like we are probably aren't going to be hosting a separate stream of the press conferences or anything like that. Like,
Right.
Oh, we should though, with reactions and stuff. We should.
We'll have
absolutely do
that, but I'm saying
Yeah.
is like we're not going to be having like the best feed of the press conference.
I disagree.
We're gonna have Sony or Microsoft's official feed. We're not gonna have our own.
Yeah, but it'll be better than theirs. Next comment comes from Tongue Surgery. It's kind of a long one, but I like it, so we're going to read this whole thing. Alien Isolation, The Evil Within, and The Last of Us all share very similar design and gameplay mechanics. They all contain crafting and upgrade systems, one-hit kill enemies, and stealth-based survivability, yet only one was critically acclaimed. A lot of the praising The Last of Us received was mostly centered on its story and characters, rather than the fact that its gameplay mechanics are great in their own right. When Alien Isolation and The Evil Within came out, and they were both largely met with indifference, despite their gameplay mechanics arguably being as strong as The Last of Us, it seems to me that there is a sort of design homogenization throughout the industry, and that in most cases, it doesn't seem to impact how well a game is received. A lot of first-person shooters have the control scheme and design popularized by Call of Duty. Thus, the game's quality looks to be judged by aspects that are not inherently related to the game parts of the game, like the aforementioned praise of the story in The Last of Us. So my question is, are we focusing too much on non-game attributes like story, graphics, voice acting, and sound when judging a game rather than the quality and uniqueness of the game's actual game traits? Thank you, Tongue Surgery. What a comment.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, I'll start with kind of the first presumption, or the idea that Alien and Evil Within weren't. I mean, they're not as highly acclaimed.
Highly acclaimed in the GT office,
But it's-
Evil Within.
But it's saying that they're not critically acclaimed at all is kind of like not true. It's they're not as universally acclaimed.
It's
like
mixed.
yeah, like there are people
check
that
the
love.
Metascore, Bloodworm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like there are people that love Alien. There are people that love Evil Within.
Yeah.
Don't seem to be the same people. They seem to kind of flop.
Yeah, but critically
but,
acclaimed, that means, you can admit they're not up there. They're not on that critically acclaimedness. Do you know what I mean? They were in very few Game of the Year contention.
I think Alien actually had quite a few Game of the Year conventions.
Won a
Just not
BAFTA.
Just
from
a few.
us.
A handful.
The
BAFTA.
BAFTAs haven't actually happened yet, have they?
I thought it won a BAFTA.
It's got a lot of nominations, but I don't
It's got
know.
a lot of nominations for
Let me check
BAFTAs.
that.
We're looking it up. We got the phone right here. We're going to look it up.
Pre-correction.
Okay.
But here's a man who's played all three.
I never finished Isolation.
Here's the thing.
And that's the best way I can review that game, is that Aliens is my favorite action film of all time. Alien is one of my favorite horror films of all time, and I fell asleep both times. I literally like in a chair, like playing Alien Isolation. I was just like, I'm dying. I don't.
But what
but
about game mechanics? Like, why aren't you talking about those when you talk about when you're falling asleep?
well, I'm supposed to say without it would kept me awake if I'd been talking to myself about
just
game
like
mechanics.
like talk to us about like the upgrade system and like what happens when you move the right analog.
So
sticks,
when
you
are
know
we
what I
not
mean?
having this conversation? Like when we do reviews, or when we do show like this, or
It sounds like both. It sounds like in reviews. It sounds like people generally just don't bring those things up. Don't bring up the gameness is I think the question, the assertion.
well, I think what you want to, and this actually kind of factors into actually how I do VO sometimes. Where it's like I will when I'm reading a review. And it's something that I tell like other people, like when Dan Kaiser would do reviews, and I'm like, you're always excited. I'm like, you can be bored sometimes. Like if you get to a paragraph that's literally just like, and then this happens, then this happens, and this happens, it's okay to sound bored, because that's just like a obligation that the reviewer feels to like just kind of tell you what's going on. And then the paragraph following that is like, okay, now here's the new stuff. Now here's something that this game is doing different. So it's like, yeah, you can talk about the combat extensively. You can do a whole paragraph about how parries work in Mordor and how, if somebody's attacking, you can like reverse that, or you can literally just say it's Arkham Asylum. It's literally like that combat with weapons. You get it? Okay, cool. Now let's talk about the Nemesis system, because that's what's really unique about this game. So I think like Last of Us, came out before these games, and so they, like maybe some of those mechanics, as long as you can just kind of identify, like we just did with Legacy of Kain. It's like you throw out a couple game titles and it's like, oh, okay, I get it.
You're right.
And then you focus on like the way he jumps and the fact that he's a vampire, and that's different, and the world, the Link to the Past, the split, world mechanic.
I get what you're saying. We talk about what is unique about it. And so, yeah, if they do become homogenized, there's not as much to say about what jumping feels like, I guess.
Yeah, because it's like if the majority, like let's say FPS, like if the majority of FPS games kind of feel similar, then most likely you're only going to talk about something that has bad shooting mechanics. Like if it doesn't work,
Right.
then okay, what did you screw up here? You know, that kind of thing. So it's like some of those things do kind of become standardized. But I think too, like what you had said in your Bossman episode about vibe, you know, like those other things do matter. You know, like from an editing standpoint, I should probably never play games with the music on because that just makes it more of a pain for the editors. But if I'm doing a review, I kind of have to like go against that production guideline because I am not going to experience the game the same way if I'm not listening to the music. Like the whole thing is thrown off.
Absolutely. Imagine if we did corrections with no corrections music. Can you believe? Like, would that be?
I'm not hearing this.
At least you hate The Last of Us.
True.
Do you hate it for its gameness or its non-gameness? The
So,
things outside of the gameness.
I mean, I had a few issues in terms of like the AI was completely janky.
And just
in
kind of
that
like
game.
runs around.
Well, not even that. It's just like the most irritating thing I found playing that game was the fact that I was acting incredibly stealthy, and then Ellie was just like running in front of clickers all the
And they'll
time.
never
and
kill her.
that
Yeah.
really bothered me. But my biggest problem is that I am eternally guilty of being someone who perpetuates this because I play games almost entirely based on like whether the story appeals to me. And The Last of Us, so many people raved about the story of The Last of Us and the emotional impact, and I was in the completely opposite camp where I had already had a very emotional experience and journey with someone that was like my protector, and or that I was the protector, and that I cared for someone, and I was trying against all odds.
In high school, in real life?
Yes, but
I thought you were talking about her dog, but okay.
that is true, but in this case, I'm referring to The Walking Dead season
Oh, okay.
1.
Okay, so you're
where
just like, this is
I-
just another lame. I've done this. I
I
get
felt
that.
like I had done this, and I know there's a different ending to The Last of Us, but I also felt like the ending to The Walking Dead hit me more when
Yeah.
I did it, and yeah.
So I think that's fair. I think it's fair to bring up these things when talking about a game. You know what I mean? Because yeah, like the brick throwing is good in this game. Is like that's good, but like
Yeah.
sometimes like something like that matter more in a person's entire impression of a game.
And I don't know if you can speak to this, Blow, but like I find a lot of really surprises me. It doesn't happen every time, but like when I'm reviewing a game, I'll like be taking notes, just like, oh, that's interesting. This game does. I'll write that down, and then like I end up throwing like a quarter of those out because I actually like get into writing the script and I realize like that doesn't really matter. It's like,
Right.
that's not really going to factor. It's an interesting tidbit, but in actually writing this script, I'm just gonna. There's no way to like organically move into that conversation. It's just gonna be me like, oh, and then there was this, and then this happened, as
Yeah.
opposed to like creating a story and really explaining to you the experience of playing the game and why I liked it or why I didn't like it.
And it's sort of like I can throw a Molotov and it can like look really realistic and look really fluid and seem like that's actually what would happen.
It's got a
if I
good
threw
arc.
one.
Good arc.
Got a good arc.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you're saying, it ultimately doesn't
Yeah.
sort of matter. I mean,
Yeah, I remember there was a period, thankfully I think it was a very brief period, in which Shane wanted to make sure that every Wii game we brought up whether or not it used Motion Plus or something. And I'm just
addressed
like,
it?
why? This doesn't even matter. Like, it doesn't matter whether this game uses Motion Plus or not.
I did think there were some people that really thought the Motion Plus would like really enhanced one-to-one better and were like fervently opposed to Wii games that did not use.
I mean, those people weren't
Plus.
wrong.
They weren't wrong.
You couldn't
I
have
guess.
Skyward Sword without Wii Motion Plus.
Right, but it, like, like
You can't have
say
Link to the Past without
a
Light in the
game
Dark
like
World.
like Epic Yarn, it would be like, well, what? Who cares?
And not mentioning it is mentioning it.
Right.
If I literally watch a review for a Wii game that uses Wii Motion Plus and the words Wii Motion Plus are not mentioned at all during that review, it's like, got it, okay.
Because it's not a
It was
problem.
not an impact. It
Right.
didn't
If
mean
it's not a
anything to you.
problem, you don't bring it
I
up.
remember
get
actually the
that.
first time I ever got in trouble. When I was reviewing, because I get a script and I'm just like, okay, cool. I'll go in and like if I don't know how to pronounce something or like this doesn't make sense to me or I hate saying must. It's like you must do this. I always say have to. It's like you got to do this or you have to do this. It just sounds more conversational. But I remember seeing something and being like, wait a minute. I know that factor about that game and that was not brought up. And it was from Mr. Michael Damianicus wrote the review for Epic Mickey 2.
Okay.
And Epic Mickey 1 just had text and Epic Mickey 2 had voiceover.
Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool because they actually brought in a bunch of people who had done voices and they were like, and there were a lot of classic animated characters from Disney that had been voiced in decades. That
Like
were
the
now,
Gremlins, the weird little Gremlins.
yeah, that they were now
Yeah.
providing voices to. And I'm like, wow, that's really fascinating. And Damiani didn't mention at all that it had voiceover. And just to frame the story, he didn't like the game, and a lot of people didn't like Epic Mickey 2. But I went to Michael Damiani and I was like, you didn't mention voiceover. And he's like, I don't care. And I'm like, yeah, but you should at least mention it. You don't have to say you liked it or you didn't like it, but
Yeah.
that is something in this game. And he's like, no, it had no impact on me, so I'm not going to write it in my script. And I was like, but. It was like the only time that me as just strictly as a voiceover person actually made a point, and he just completely shot me down. He's like, I'm not putting that in because it just does not. I am telling a story about my experience with this game, and that does not factor into the story.
Sounds like you didn't get in trouble. You introduced that story. So let me tell you about the first time I got in trouble.
Didn't get in trouble, but
He wasn't Damiani's boss either.
I was not expecting that reaction.
Yeah.
At that point, he was not Damiani's boss.
You
That's
cannot
true,
move Michael Damiani.
But I will say, going back to the thing about notes, because I do take notes constantly. I have my shot logs and stuff. But actually, there are times where, because at the end of a game, especially if it's a longer, 20, 30-hour game, I'll go back through my notes and I'm like, oh, crap, I can't believe I forgot about that. And then, figure out where to shove it in there. Because, I don't want to go without saying that, even though it doesn't feel like it fits in. I got to throw it somewhere. But, yeah, so it's sometimes that process can be interesting.
Thanks for the discussion, ton
Yeah,
of surgery.
that's a good
Like
one.
it. And Trent, thank you to you too, Trent. Quick aside, we did a panel, I guess that was at PAX, and the first time I ever realized how much work Brandon does in a voiceover was someone asked him your process. And you touched on it a little bit there, when you're just you're trying to get in the mind of the reviewer as you're reading that out. And I'm like, oh man, Brandon's a true artist. Sorry, I just wanted to bring up that moment. It's hard to appreciate how much work he does. You think he's just standing there reading a script and just as the words come out, but he's he's voice acting as he
someone
does
on the
that.
retrospective was saying, it's Ben should have read this. And Ben and I both were like, nope, that's not happening. This would not be a good idea.
Did you have to get into the mind of Michael Damiani?
I've been there.
Jesus Christ.
It's like The Cell,
Gotta say The Cell.
7.8s everywhere.
All right, as we close
You
out the
laughed at
show,
that one. I just want to point that out.
you got to laugh
He
at me.
loves
idiot
The
laugh.
Cell.
That ain't easy.
I like the mind parts.
Yeah.
As we close out the show, let's move on to bets. Here's our closing bet. Dragon Ball Xenoverse came out this week. My question.
I still don't understand. Why does Dragon Ball seem to sometimes it's 2 words and sometimes it's 1 word? I don't.
Always 2 words, baby.
Yeah.
Always 2 words.
Always
Yeah.
2, yeah.
The way they write it sometimes, there's no space. It
It's
doesn't
very
make any
close.
sense.
Yeah, it's very close to each other, but it's always 2 words when you type into the Google.
Are there other balls that are not dragon related?
Sure, but they're not special.
Okay.
They won't grant you wishes if that's what you're
That's
asking.
true.
How many edits will be made on the Dragon Ball Xenoverse Wikia page between now, this moment, and next recording? It's my turn to go first or last. I'm going last.
Oh, poor Elise.
Who's on the show next week?
I think it
guess.
might be Huber. I think he might be up.
I want Huber to win.
Give us a good bet.
Am I next or who's going
It's
next?
you, yeah. You're
You'd
up.
give a bad bet?
Yeah, who would you? I'm curious.
Who would you give a bad bet for?
would-
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
give a bad
Who's
bet.
up
I
next?
would
You
give
give
a
it. Ian. Okay, you give a
I
bad bet
wouldn't
to
give a
Ian.
bad bet to anybody.
But he's got his rotation set, so you're always
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
be in front of
Yeah. I was kidding
the same
you.
person.
I'm going to say 12.
Okay, 12 edits. Bloodworth, how many edits? How many things will have to be changed?
I'm going to go with 16.
Oh, damn.
Okay,
8.
great. 4. Lock it in.
Oh.
I was gonna go high. I was gonna go really high and I was gonna say, hey, GT Time Nation, why don't you go ahead and make all the edits you can to that page? But then I'm thinking, the game's out. There's not that much left to change. I actually switched it. I called an audible there. We'll see how that plays off. We locked those in. So let's talk about last week's bet. Last week we bet how many people will have the trophy for completing the Order 1886. Notoriously short game. Everyone will beat it in 1 week. let's go through everyone's bets. Elise, last week Brad Ellis bet 25% for the Super Seat. Bloodworth, you bet 35%. Brandon, you bet 45%.
That's a bad bet.
I bet 40% of the people have beaten that game. The actual number, the actual percentage of people who started the game and then completed it is 25.2%.
Wow.
That's it. Yeah, that's the.
Can you believe that?
Yeah, I can.
That's a point for the
my
Super
God.
Seat.
Yeah,
He was
Go
0.2
Seat.
off. Can you believe that?
pretty amazing.
Way
That's
to
the
go,
better.
Steve.
I don't know what
That's real
45.
good.
I don't know what the hell I was thinking.
Because, no, what we were thinking is, oh, this guy on YouTube beat in 5 hours. Everybody's going to beat that game. That's what we were
No,
thinking.
it's
Yeah.
just- yeah, that's bad. That's dumb.
I didn't think it was dumb. I bet 40. I was like, yeah, Brandon's about right.
No.
25%. Most people still playing that game.
Or never touching that game ever.
Or
again.
never, maybe they got bored and they fell asleep like Brandon during Alien Isolation.
It's weird. Like I think like you have like most of the gaming community doesn't buy like a ton of games, isn't playing like a new game every day like we are.
Yeah.
So I think like they must really want to get the most out of that experience. But then like on the same time it's like, or they're just bored and they move on to something else because everybody's got a really short attention span now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Both are true, I guess. So.
At least you look conflicted by your win. What's going on here?
Oh no, I was surprised. I was surprised that few people.
Wait, what would you have bet? I guess we should have asked
I
that.
probably would have been more in the 40% range.
Yeah.
Because, 40 is still less than
Yeah.
half.
Yeah.
This is beat it on any difficulty, by the way. If you play through it on easy, you get that trophy. My word.
These are the people that pre-ordered the game. These are the people that went out and bought the game day one.
Yeah. And then they got lazy. They fell asleep, taking extra naps.
And that was like an unwinnable bet if you were not Brad Ellis. Like if you had said 26%, you would have lost. Because it was what 25.2%.
Yes. He nailed
You
it.
wouldn't have lost. though.
Brad
You
nailed
would
it.
have had to say 25.2
Yeah,
on top
to
of
win.
his bet.
Yeah. Pretty crazy. Well done, Brad Ellis.
Speaking of
So,
locking it in,
what do you mean?
Brad locked that in.
He locked that in.
He locked that bet in.
Well, I locked the bet in. Can I get some credit for locking in the bets for once?
It's showing.
Oh, man, thank
No, I
you.
was gonna say yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's like that. It's like, have you seen the commercial where they're like just like the village of people that arm wrestle for
Yeah, that
everything?
was a Super Bowl commercial. What I don't like about that is they're like hyping it up. Just like, you are all gonna really love this joke. It's just like, don't hype up your Super Bowl commercial.
One of my West friends is in it, so I like that one.
Okay, well, we'll give it to him. It's a big deal being a Super Bowl commercial. It's no small thing. Super Seat has 3 points. Daniel Bloodworth has 3 points. Brandon, you and I each have 1 point. We'll catch up.
Yeah.
We'll catch up.
The collective are beating.
By the summer,
individuals.
I'll get to it sometime.
By E3, hopefully. So, at least what you have earned is the opportunity to promote any video you want on our website and also close out the show.
Okay, when you're done watching Mandatory Update, check out Pop Facts and Pop Fiction by Michael Damiani, and you can follow him at MB Damiani. He makes some of the best videos for our site.
Did you
can
just
stay in touch with
plug
them.
Pop Facts?
Yeah, I did.
Oh, man.
There's also this weekend is Kingdom Hearts Mysteries.
I'm so opposed to
Kingdom
that.
Hearts-
Can we at least talk about Kingdom Hearts Mysteries?
Kingdom Hearts Mysteries. Follow and Michael Damiani.
That slime ball, you're gonna throw a promo to him?
I mean, only Brandon really knows what goes
his
on
seat.
in there.
Yeah. And man, reading the Kingdom Hearts mystery script, there's no deeper.
Yeah,
That
we should
is
actually-
the deep end of Damiani's brain.
We should promote it. So what is it? What is the video?
Michael
that's going
Damiani's
up?
doing a multi-part series on the mysteries from Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah.
And part 1 was time travel. Part 2 is going to be Sora's relationships with other characters. So explains why the sacrifices Sora makes. And the thing that's really exciting about it is people are like, I saw a timeline. Why the hell do I want to watch this? The mysteries are specifically geared towards if you played 1, 2, and Dreamed Off Distance and Coded and maybe some other stuff, but you don't really remember it, but you're really excited about Kingdom Hearts 3, all these videos set up, like, they all end with being like, and therefore, here's what's probably going to happen in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah.
And what's really interesting about the script, the episode we're going to put up this weekend, is he calls, like, you know this character, these, like, 4 or 5 characters that just left the series, you were like, see ya, they're never coming back. They're all coming back, baby.
Ooh.
He's like, I'm making the call, they're all coming back, and here's why.
Damiani's making the call.
Yeah. And Kingdom Hearts Insider, who he worked with to produce the KH Insider, who he worked with to produce the video. So,
Hey, good promo.
man, like
Good pitch there.
5 to 6 pages of just like Sora this and Sora that.
They're all in his heart, and he's in other hearts.
My
Yeah.
throat was sore after reading it.
It's twice as
geez.
long as the review, yeah.
Sorry, I stole your thunder there, Elise. Take us out.
That was great. Oh, that's it.
Wait,
Oh, you
That's it? You just want to say
Oh,
that's
I
it and then we
always
cut?
forget about closing the show.
Yeah.
I guess I hope that someday all of you get to see inside Michael Damiani's mind as well. The mind of the Michael. I don't know how do you usually close this show? Someone needs to tell me.
Run.
Normally,
Twitter.
you're just like, yeah, here's all our Twitter names.
Oh.
Thank you for watching, and we'll be back next week.
At Kyle Bosman.
No, you don't have to say it out loud. But yeah, let's
At
see if you
Danny
can get
Taylor's
screen.
VO.
Okay.
At Daniel Bloworth 2.
D Bloodworth too.
Oh boy.
I won't even say my own
Don't
name.
follow Daniel Bloodworth too. That's a whole other guy.
At Schmelies Schmillums.
Schmellies. That's me. Have a good night, everybody.
What's Eric's Twitter name? What's Eric's Twitter
Alex
name?
Holmes.
Okay.
And we're done.
Bye. Oh man.
I love towers.